What is up, guys? Fair and Unfair here.
I am fair.
And I'm Unfair, and today we're going to be playing the Scourge of the format, but it is not Scourge of the Skyclaves. It's Arclight Phoenix.
Oh, Sprite. Dragon.
Sprite Dragon is pretty good. I'm definitely more of a Crackling Drake fan myself.
Oh, dude, I hate Drake.
To each their own. We're playing Blue-Red Phoenix. Some lists are playing Teamer. They're splashing green for a couple things. But we're just going to the very bare bones of the list so you can kind of see the basics of what what people are playing right now in the queues that you're going to see a lot of. Give you guys kind of an idea as to what they're playing and how to play around it, for just based on the game. But don't forget to do all of the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things. I have no clue how many people are subscribed, but it's some number down here. We should get it bigger. Thank you so much, and please enjoy the games. Woo! Alright, so the Phoenix deck relies on casting a lot of spells in order to get good value out of the rest of your creatures. Your creature base is going to be Sprite Dragon. It just gets bigger as you cast more spells, since it's +1/+1 counters instead of just a temporary bonus like Prowess. And it has haste and flying, so it's able to hit for a decent amount of damage right off the bat if you multi-spell there. Arclight Phoenix, if you cast 3 or more instant or sorcery spells, you get to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. It has flying, haste, so that's an extra 3 damage in the air flying for free if you cast 3 spells. Crackling Drake, it's bigger the more cards that are in your graveyard or in exile of instants and sorceries, and whenever it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So it's a pretty big flyer as well. And then Stormwind Entity, just a it is a 5-drop, so it dodges Fatal Push, but it's pretty much just a 2-drop 3/3 flying prowess that scries 2. Everything else is just casting spells, so you've got like lightning strikes and shocks just for damage to the face or to other creatures. Just damage-based removal that's really versatile. Chart a Course is really good for ditching cards if you need to, ditching your Arclight Phoenix into your graveyard so that way you can return it to the battlefield. It also draws you 2 cards if you attack with a Sprite Dragon first or anything like that, so it's just a really good card. Maximize Velocity is just being played as 1-of, since you're playing Crackling Drake in this version. You are able to give it haste, and sometimes it'll have 10, 12, 14 power, so you can swing for a lot kind of out of nowhere with it.
Maximize the velocity.
You do maximize, like you literally max it out. They're just not ready for it. Lightning Axe is removal that allows you to discard the Arclight Phoenix. Faithless Looting is a newer card that was just added. Well, newer card to Historic anyway. That allows us to ditch our Arclight Phoenixes. As a matter of fact, Phoenix is one of the reasons Faithless Looting is banned in Modern. So keep an eye out on that. There's a good chance that this card might also see a ban at some point in Historic, since it's been doing so well with Phoenix. Crash Through is just a card to cast in order to keep the spell count going. Also gives everything trample in case your opponents are playing flyers, and it also draws a card, so it's just a red cantrip. Opt is another cantrip, and Brainstorm is another cantrip. Brainstorm works really well in conjunction with specifically with doing things like Chart a Course, like being able to put stuff back on top of your library that you don't need, so that you can cast more spells, Chart a Course, discard your Arclight Phoenix and go off. It's just a lot of really cool consistency in the deck since there's so many cantrips. Sideboard, you got 4 Leyline of the Voids in order to beat all the opposing graveyard decks that are seeing play in the format right now. Narset comes in also against Phoenix because of the fact that all of their draw effects also have discard or put back on top of your library effects, so Narset's really good against those. Braids, versatile cards for artifacts and more damage-based removal. Chandra for more mid-rangey fights. Mystical Dispute for counter control decks. Ether Gust for red and green decks of any type. And Pillar of Flame for more removal, and it's also really good against the Catavan deck for being able to exile things. It also exiles Arclight Phoenixes. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into a game. Alright, so this hand is great. We have cantrips, and we have creatures, so we'll go ahead and keep this. The cool thing about this deck is because of the fact that there's so many cantrips, you really are able to just churn through your deck and make sure you always have some amount of value. So I think we start off with Faithless Looting here. Maybe if we get lucky we ditch a Phoenix. We didn't find a Phoenix. We already have a Brainstorm, so we'll just ditch one of those, and probably just the Chart a Course too. We still have the Faithless Looting in the back, in our graveyard to flashback if we need to ditch something. I think that's best.
Okay.
And now we have the Spiral Canal too, which is nice.
I am not necessarily great at operating these decks, so I just cast cantrip until I do things. And sometimes I just die before I do things.
Generally, that's how you're supposed to play these decks. There definitely is, there can be an amount of finesse to it sometimes, but traditionally, like, it is just cast cantrips until you cast your thing.
I'm happy as a hellion to start some fire.
And the opponent's starting off pretty aggressively with a Chandra. It seems like it's the mirror match. We don't need that. But I think we actually win this race since we have the flyers. So we'll go ahead and play the Silver Falls, play Brainstorm and Stormwing. Yeah. Put 2 cards back on top. We've already played our land for turn, so we can just put both of these back on top. Yeah, and play Stormwing. Doesn't matter what order they're on top.
You could have bottom one of the land.
Well, we want both of those so that way we're making sure we're hitting our land drops for the next couple turns, because Crackling Drake plus Spell is usually the sweet spot with this deck.
Okay.
Because then you can go Crackling Drake and haste it immediately. Which usually just spells out a good game. We're probably just going to Chart a Course Stormwing this turn.
Oh, they're so cute.
I'm going to take this just in case they have a shock. Because I don't have a way to buff my Stormwing entity right now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and play this on blue.
So you probably go ahead and chart a course just to be safe.
Yeah. We'll just ditch the steam vents. We're going to go ahead and attack and see if they'll let us kill the Chandra. Are they just going to let us kill their Stormwing entity? We're opting for a 1-mana spell here. There it is.
That's impressive.
And we didn't really lose any value there because of the fact that we are still making our Crackling Drake bigger, and since we're just drawing, like, cards off of each card that we cast, like, we're not actually losing any card advantage. We're just grinding through the deck. Also, Elemental? We're playing against Elementals?
Kind of.
Interesting. There's the Maximize Velocity. Cool, so we can just go Crackling Drake, Maximize Velocity.
There's a Fire Bluff Candle. Oh wait, no, you don't even have to.
Kill their Chandra, put them down to half.
And then just die next turn.
Yeah, they have to deal 14 damage to us this turn, or have a blocker for our Crackling Drake. And it doesn't look like they have that.
You know, that's actually kind of sweet. You know, Pyromancer and Risen Reef.
Yeah, I do like that a lot.
I'm adding that to my idea.
Alright, so for game 2, we brought in some Ether Gusts and some extra damage-based removal and took in just some numbers. We cannot keep this.
No.
This is a bit better. We'll keep this and drop an island, and
With any luck, we'll just go Lightning Axe and Stormring Entity on turn 3.
yeah, that would be really nice.
Maybe I'll just call it Paper Dust.
Yeah, we're actually in a great spot now. Those were some really important draws. Ether Gust to protect ourselves, Chart a Course to keep the gas going, and drop the Arclight Phoenix if we needed to.
Oh.
They didn't do anything that turn either.
So maybe just chart a course here?
I think we just pass.
Okay.
Like, we make them... What I'm thinking is, like, we make them make the first play. If they don't do it here, like... We probably just Lightning Strike them here. Start playing Burn.
I guess.
Another Ether Gust. I think we have to Chart a Course to hit a land now. A land would be nice, then we can play the Stormwing Entity. That's extremely unfortunate. Traditionally, these decks play fewer lands than a lot of other decks that you'll see because of the fact that they play so many cantrips. That's not exactly what we were looking for, but I'll take it.
And sometimes you can trip on your mana base.
Occasionally. But, so...
Our Cast Phoenix attack.
I'm actually thinking that... Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Because if they counter it like we don't care, it'll go to the graveyard and we can play it again later. We only get punished if they have exactly Pillar of Flame, which doesn't look like they did. Or Magma Spray, I guess. I like Pillar of Flame more, though, because of the fact that it can also hit face.
So just stay through Gust that and Storming, I think.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
You can still cast the Storming, it's fine. Like, it sucks that it's going to live, but...
I mean, I can always Lightning Axe it, too. I think I'll leave the Opt on top.
That's probably fine. Go for the kill next turn, and then you have Phoenix in the graveyard too, so you can, if you can chain them all together, then you're good.
Exactly.
Unfortunate, but that's fine.
Yeah, I've got to protect my my Stormwing entity. Blowing up the Risen Reef is just a bonus.
Gotta get that boom, boom, boom.
Gotta get that boom, boom, boom. Gotta get that boom, boom, boom. And we're immediately demonetized, even though we're not monetized in the first place. Perfect musical singing, you know. And there's the shock. Okay, cool. So they killed a Stormwing entity, but it cost them 2 spells to do it. And they don't have any way to capitalize on that, unless they have a Phoenix that they put into their graveyard.
I don't think they do.
No. So yeah.
So we just need to opt into 2 more spells, and we're good.
Yeah. Brainstorm would be really sweet to see. That's not a Brainstorm. That's a Crackling Drake.
That is also acceptable.
Yeah. We could randomly draw Maximize Velocity off of it.
I think you have to wait till next turn.
Yeah, we'll hold a Brainstorm. But if they don't have a way to deal with this Crackling Drake, we kill them in 2 turns, maybe even fewer, depending on what we draw of the Brainstorm. Okay, so they have a Storming entity.
Why would you name land there?
I don't know, maybe they specifically are trying to play... Oh, they just wanted to play double entity. But then, what, I still don't understand. Oh well.
Maybe they miscounted? I don't know.
Alright, Sprite Dragon's actually a great draw too. So we start with a Sprite Dragon.
Storm some brains.
Yep.
So...
That was great, by the way. That series of cards was great.
Yeah, it was insane.
Because we put Opt in hand, we put Arclight Phoenix and Opt on top, put the Arclight Phoenix on top, scry the Arclight Phenix to the bottom, play the other Opt, and that's enough spells to get the other Phoenix out of our graveyard, and our own Sprite Dragon is at 4 power, so at that point it swings through the Storming entity.
Crispy.
And that's... Sorry?
I was gonna say it's crispy, just like McDonald's Sprite.
Sure. I don't...
McDonald's Sprite's so much different.
Crispy, though.
Crispy.
I don't like my drinks to be crunchy.
Crisp.
But the way that this deck works, like as you saw right there at the end, is that you really are able to cast a plethora of spells and kind of just chain off, making all of your other spells, all of your creatures that are payoffs also get extra bonuses, and the deck just ends up it's really, really it's a well-oiled machine is the best way to describe it. It's really powerful, really aggressive, really fast, and very versatile and resilient. It's pretty much going to be the best deck in the format for a while, until we see a Faithless Looting and or Brainstorm banning. Expect to see this and a lot of different variants of it all over the queues.
Like we did.
Yep, we saw a lot of them. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to do all the YouTube stuff that I said at the beginning. And until next time, you have a fantastic week.
Buy an air fryer.
Yes.